Oh, it's crazy hair. Come on, Rach, where are you there? Everyone's watching me. At least I finally found myself. Hi, everybody. All right, let me... Well, stinkers. It's not letting me pin it. You keep missing me. Well, hey, I'm glad you're here. All right. Oh, you know what I want to do? I'm going to go to this other thing. Hold on. I just want to try to put this on the top of the page. There we go. Pin to top. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can see comments. There we go. So I see Karen, Tina, Donna, Mary, Karen. Well, let me get rid of this thing here. It's always good to find yourself. Yeah. Julie, Adrian, Anne. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Isn't it beautiful in Maryland today, Tina? Not. It is, we really need rain. It is very dreary and rainy, but hi, Denise. Hi, Martha. I hope everyone is doing well today. Thank you all so much for joining me. Couple things I want to, I don't want to say address because that sounds kind of weird, but I want to mention. I would be really remiss if I didn't mention. So I don't know if some of you know, if you follow or not, but Lisa and her husband John are the creators of Crafter Solutions, and John passed away this week. He lost his battle with ALS. I'm sure he is in a much better place, but I really am deeply thinking of Lisa and her son Dominic. Dominic just turned 8. So I'm very, very sorry for their loss. I know John's hands had to have created this one because my good friend Donna had this customized for me. So very near and dear to my heart. It is so sad. So if you happen to have ordered something and maybe things aren't going, that's what's going on. I believe he is being laid to rest this weekend. But wonderful people who still, I'm sure eventually Lisa will continue with what she's doing, but I'm sure right now is so difficult for them. And I know, I think back in December, he wasn't doing so well and they had moved into hospice. So he got about 2.5 more months, or I should say they got 2.5 more months with him. So as soon as I read it, it broke my heart. I really, truly feel for both of them. So keep them in your prayers. So that's one thing. Thinking of her today. I know she took great care of him, and Donna's on here. Donna can attest. She said that she is a very strong woman, and I'm sure she will take very good care of herself and Dominic, but still it's always nice to keep people in your thoughts and prayers. On a little bit more of a positive note, I'll say a complete turn. You know how they do in the news, they go from something to the other, and I don't really know how to segue from one thing to another, but I did get my 5-year anniversary pin, and I believe Tina, you got yours this week as well. I saw you post a picture, so this was kind of exciting. Who knew 5 years ago I'd be doing this? Pretty amazing if you think about it, but I got a 5-year pin, so that was kind of a little nice surprise to get in the mail. Little pick you up if you're having a bad day, so I'll have to find a place for that. It's a cute little box that it came in, so thank you all. I appreciate that. So I have some very fun takes on something you probably have. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get the rest of them out, and I actually want to show you one more thing. So today I'm working with 2 parts of something. I have our masks. So this, and I'll kind of just briefly show you. These are the basic pattern masks. And then They also have a party pattern decorative mask. And I actually used this the other day for my St. Patrick's Day cards. I only made 3. I made one for my nieces and then one for Christian. But these have, you have the woods and you have the, I think this is a mandala. I can't remember what we call that. And then there is also the brick wall. So these are pretty fun. So I thought we could do a little fooling around with those today. Oh, Karen, congratulations. You're at 4 years. How exciting. But also, and I am not a huge Paper Pumpkin subscriber because I have a lot of kits right here. I'm standing looking at 12 of them. I don't finish them very often. But if you were fortunate enough to order the kit from March, which I actually did order the April kit as well because it looks like it's a little bit more geared towards kids. I think you can probably make it as an adult too, but it looked like it was a little bit more of a kids card. So I did keep my subscription going for that. But anyway, the March kit, the reason I did it is because they actually, this is really cute. They actually gave you 4 masks in the kit, which are really cute. So they're a lot smaller, but they kind of look like you can build them. And I don't have my, since I changed over to the other grid paper, I don't have my measuring. So I think they're about 4. I got to tell you though, I am really good at eyeballing things mathematically wise now since I have been crafting for so long. But they have one where you can build a mountain. And then there is this one I really like, falling stars, which is cute. Then there is a background of a sunburst, which is really cute. We had a die like this, I think, not too long ago, right? And then there's also a cloud builder, but you can also build the top of the clouds. So this is pretty versatile. So the cloud and the mountain are kind of neat because you can do them in like layers as you put them together, which is pretty cool. So I just got mine yesterday. So I was like, whoa, even more masks to play with. Now, I'm not going to use these now because I really want to see what they do with the kit, but this is pretty cool. So you got 4 mask stencils. I don't know what we call them, mask stencils. And you also got a full-size sponge. So in case you got this and this is your first sponge, you want to cut this baby at least in quarters. So half and then half, and you'll have 4 sponges. You probably could even go down to 6th or 8th, honestly, because you don't really need too much sponge. But I would at least cut it in half and then cut that half in half, and then you'll have 4 sponge pieces. But it's a pretty cute stamp set. I really like a lot of the sayings. All the best for a healthy and happy, healthy, and prosperous years. What a great one. Even if you wanted to send out like a late New Year's, may your journey through life take you to many new and exciting places. I love that. That's really cute. And then there's a happy birthday, a congratulations, and a here's to you. So I haven't opened the rest of the kit yet, and it did come with some extra ideas for you to make with your cards. I think this one, personally, would be great if you wanted to send out some 4th of July cards, or if maybe you wanted to send out some Memorial Day cards. If you know some vets you could send, let's celebrate you. I think that would be beautiful. It looks like they have Misty Moonlight, if I were to guess, and then white. You could either do white or silver, white ink, or silver or white embossing powder would be really pretty. And then it came with Calypso Coral Spot. And let's see, I'll open this up and see what it looks like. Honestly, wasn't planning on opening this, but oh, it's really cute. I think it must have some die cuts in here as well. Looks like it has some dies with the trees and maybe even some stencils with the clouds, but really cute. Looks like a lot of fun. So I'll have to actually open it and use it, put it together, unlike what I usually do. So I'm going to put all that back in here. And I have another idea. I'm not going to be live on Saturday because I actually have another commitment that I have to do the same time I would do my live video on Saturday. So I may either, if I can do something pre-recorded, or else I might try and do something potentially for Sunday. Just depends on whether and what time allows. But I will keep you posted. If I plan to do live, it'll be probably short notice. But what we're going to do today, I have a couple different ideas of some masking, and it might be different than what you think. So we're going to do some masking for a card. I also have masking paper, which this is not a Stampin' Up product, so full disclaimer. I get my masking paper from Simon Says Stamp. I'm sure you can get it from some other big box store, but I ordered mine and I haven't used very much of it, and I do use it quite often. It lasts a pretty long time, but it's called masking paper. Mine does come in a full, it's an 8.5 by 11. That's what I have. You could also, if you wanted to, if you had a big Post-it, you could use Post-it. Oh, congratulations, Anne. Mine was the day after my birthday in January, Anne, so yours is probably coming too. Yeah, so the other thing you could use, and this is a little bit smaller, but they do carry different sizes of this, is Post-it tape. If you were going to do this with Post-it tape, this is a 1-inch piece. I would probably get the bigger, maybe a 3 or 4-inch piece, so you could cut it. But you could use a large Post-it note for this. That's it's easiest for what we're going to do today if you actually have a masking paper, so something that's a little bit bigger, only because what I did is I actually die cut this with the Stitch So Sweetly. So I have a rectangle and another one here. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these. I have also some examples of what we can do. I'm going to say examples, some stamp sets, varied stamp sets. I thought it would be really nice with Tranquil Thoughts. I have not used the stamps except for the words with this yet, so I thought this would be a good idea. Also, the reason I say this, if you have something that has some nice bold sentiment or a sentiment that you really love, you're going to need that. You could also do it with the flower from Tasteful Touches. You could do painted poppies. Only thing about painted poppies is it has a lot of white space, and you kind of want something that has a little bit more color. I'm going to try one with this, and we'll see how it goes. Enjoy the Moment would be nice. I definitely want to do one with Loyal Leaves, so I'm going to keep that out. Oldies, again, Timeless Tropical. You could use these right here, actually in the leaf. So I'm going to do those first. And then another one I thought would be a great one to use would be Daisy Lane. So I'm going to focus on those three. I have some other things that we could try. And I'm going to keep out Ridiculously Awesome. And you probably could even do it with So Sentimental. So I'm going to keep these kind of on top. And the only other thing I want to do before we start is I'm just going to cut some paper. And then I'll flip you down in just a minute. Okay. So I'm just going to cut this into 4. So I'm going to do 4 by 5 and a quarter. Yeah. So did anybody get any good goodies yesterday with the free shipping promotion? Tell me what you got. No, that was great. If you spend $50, you got free shipping. So it's a pretty good deal. Free shipping is always a good promotion. I always like it anyway. Okay. My pieces. And I want to do 4 just because I know I at least want to make 3 of these. And even if we don't finish them, we have 3 fronts that we could just put. You're not looking forward to the retirement list. You know, I'm really not either, Tina. However, I am looking forward to the new ink colors. And with new things, old things have to go. So I guess kind of in a way, I'm just hoping that I picked things that might be longer lasting, because we will find out about that on 24th, I think it is. Yes, 24th. Exciting. All right, so I have my pieces here, and I have my masks. So I'm just going to keep these all handy. I'm just going to keep all the masks out, and then we will go from there. So I think what I'm going to use first is I'm going to use Daisy Lane, and I'm going to use this. I don't know what this is. It's like a diamondy kind of pattern. All right, so I'm going to go with that first. So I am going to grab a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to flip you down, and then we'll decide which one we want to do. So if you do get a little nauseated with the position change, just look away for a minute. All right, bear with me. Hi, Stacy. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. All right. Okay, so we are locked in place. Let me just move this out of the way, and I'm going to move my iPad over. And paper. 1 second. I don't know. A couple of these things. I don't know where in the world they came from or how they landed on my desk. Move my water and get that out of the way. Hopefully that's out of the way enough. Let's see. And let's see if I can see my comments there. Bunch of cardstock. That's a good one. Couple of reindeer, aka re-inkers. I know it always calls them reindeer. Isn't that the funniest thing? Okay, so when you're masking, a few things to remember. As you can see, there is some residual embossing paste. I couldn't think of what it was called. I was going to call it stamping paste on here. It doesn't affect it. You can also emboss with these with the paste. The only thing is it kind of leaves a little residual goop on it. I tend to keep a little tray with warm soapy water that as soon as I'm finished, I put them in, but it still may be on there. It doesn't affect it. So as long as you make sure that it's clean, that's really the most important thing. When you are going to use your mask, what you want to do is maybe put a piece of double stick tape on the other side just to hold this still. That's always a good idea. And then you're kind of wanting to hold this down as well. And you know what? If I was really smart, and I don't know where in the world I put it. As a matter of fact, Lisa sent me I think it was called a stencil stop. But every single time I go to use it, I never ever find it until after I'm finished filming. I swear. Things in this office. Okay, anyway, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to end up taping it down. But the point I was trying to get at is you can use the brushes if you have them. These are Stampin' Up brushes if you have a different brush. You can also use the sponge brayer. You can also use a sponge. Let's see if I have one handy. So this would be 1/4 of a sponge. You could use that. There's lots of different ways you can add ink to this. But before we do that, we're going to do one other thing. So I'm going to kind of eyeball what I want to add here. And I'm going to pick one of these and see if it fits. All right, so we're going to use that one. That's going to be our sentiment. So I'm going to use this. Just put this onto a block. You could probably use your Stamparatus if you really wanted perfect positioning of this, but we're going to be okay with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the back off of this is just the release paper, off of my masking paper. And this has a very low tack. And I'm just going to kind of center it. It's approximately centered. You could measure if you want to, but all right, so I'm just going to press it down. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of stamping first. I'm going to pick up my daisies. We'll do our leaf. Okay. So I'm going to attempt to go for some cheery colors for this. So we will use mango and how about something else bright, which is crazy, melon mambo. I know that's probably not a daisy color, but you know, when you're making your own cards, you can pick whatever you want. And let's go with, oops, let me scoot this just for a sec. Just jade. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the biggest image first. So I'm going to do my daisy, my large daisy. right, so there's that. And I have a good idea in my mind of what I want this to look like, but I haven't done it, so we're just seeing what it looks like as we go. And we'll add a little leaf. I'm going to leave that for now. And finally, our melon mambo. Trying to think. I feel like I want another little teeny piece of a flower, but I don't really want to overwhelm it. Not a flower, a leaf. That's what I meant to say. I don't want to do too much. We're going to wait on that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this up. Okay. All right. So I did 3 colors. Probably could have done this one first if we wanted to, but basically what we're doing is we're kind of creating a space for this. Now I'm going to take my image with my sentiment on it, and you could either go to one of 2 ways. You could either do black or you could do gray. So what I'm going to do is for this first one, I'm going to just do gray. So this is going to kind of be a simple one. So we're going to peel this off. And you can use this over again. You're just going to want to make sure that your ink is dry. That way you don't smudge it when you put it down. Okay, so I'm just going to take this sticky and I'm just going to stick it to my desk here for a second. So then I'm going to ink up my sentiment. Make sure this doesn't have any little goofy spots. Hopefully that's centered. So this is why I said if you wanted to, not, but if you wanted to, you could use your Stamparatus so your thing would be a little bit straighter. So there's take 1. Worst case scenario, like I said, you could always redo it. You can always put it on a stamp positioning tool so you would know it would be accurate and straight instead of willy-nilly. But anyway, that's 1. And maybe whoever got this is going to just have a chuckle at the slightly sidewaysness of this. My niece would love this card, right? Since she likes everything to be a little... Maybe I should send it to her. She likes everything to be a little bit crooked or slightly sideways. So here's one. All right, so we're going to do another one now. I'm going to grab my other piece of paper. And this one, instead of using that sentiment, I'm going to use a different one. The only reason I'm using a different one is so I can do something larger. So I'm going to close this up. Move this out of the way. And we're going to do something a little bit different. So same thing again. I'm peeling this off. So I have my release paper. Again, I'm kind of just eyeballing where I want it. Just making sure the edges are pressed. The only thing that you want to be careful when you do this is that you want to make sure that your, oh my goodness, hold on, lost my train of thought. That your die cut, especially if you're using something that has scallops, that it's not cut off. Because then you're not going to get that whole the matching scallop all around. You'll have a line, and you would be able to notice that when you're at the edge of this. So you're kind of want it to be so it's uniformly whatever all the way around. All right, so this time we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to bring in one more other color, and then we're going to use this for the actual mask part, just to give another thing to it. And I think I have to move this over just a little bit, because I feel like it's just a teeny bit off. And you definitely can reuse these because the masking paper is repositionable. Just kind of eyeball where I am. That's a little bit better. Okay. So make sure there's no bumps. So it's, for the most part, relatively even. Okay, so same thing again. So I have Melon Mambo, Mango Melody, and I want to pick one more. I feel like magenta might be a little bit too much. How about Coastal Cabana? Again, I know we're not really dealing in actual daisy colors, but just something to perk people up a little bit. And we may have to just slightly change the color that we were going to use for our over masking, but we can worry about that in a minute. So same thing again. I'm going to now go to my smaller daisy. Okay. And then finally, we'll bring in the mango, and then this one is like a more open daisy. I just want to make sure this inks fully before I stamp it. Yeah, man, this mango really is not well inked. Let me try this again. I think this is the one that I pushed in that day with my blending brush, which was a no-no. So let me try this again with my magic spoon. It's weird too, because I know some of these colors are a little bit strange in that the re-inker can sometimes be such a pain to get it in. It's not all of them, but it definitely is some of them. It's almost like it has a, there you go, once you get the top broken up, it's almost like it has a, like a coating on the top of it. I don't know if anybody else notices that. All right, that's much better in. Okay. All right, let me try this again. Now it's probably super inky now, so I don't want to, there we go. Ooh, much better. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Again, I don't want to overload it. Just trying to make sure I didn't have a disaster with that one. Now, before I finish, I want to go ahead over and mask this. So what I'm going to do is, move this. I'm going to put just a teeny little bit of something down here. Probably not the one. I think I used Stampin' Still Plus, which is crazy sticky. There we go. So we'll just take a little bit of that stick off just to kind of hold that in place. And then we'll put this over, and then I'm just going to tape this with just some little spare pieces. Again, it may not be exactly precisely lined up. That's okay though. All right, so I think this might be a little bit much now because I did add in that green. So I'm going to go with something a little bit lighter. I'm going to do it actually in Pool Party. So for this first one, what I'll do is I'll use the sponge. Your Mango Melody is like that too. It must be something with that ink pad, which is strange, but okay. So you can see I have ink on this. Just want to make sure you roll it so you're not just getting it on one side. And then I'm just going to go over lightly. I'm not pressing too hard. And kind of make sure you get the whole thing, at least a little bit. So I'm just going to lift just a little, make sure I got the majority. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Now, with your sponge brayers, all you have to do with this is rinse it under cool water and then just set it to dry. You do get 2 of the handles and 4 sponges, so you can interchange them. But even if you were going to a darker color, all you have to do is just roll the color until it comes off, And then you could change colors as long as you're going to something darker. I wouldn't necessarily change color families without rinsing it, but so here's what it looks like. So same thing for this as I said earlier, and I'll show you really quickly before we reveal this. What I will do for now is just wipe this off with a microfiber cloth. And then later on, you can rinse this with warm water in the sink. If you get it really dirty, you could do soapy water. But again, so we have our little background here. So now what we're going to do, and I'll see if I can hopefully place this a little bit better. I'm going to peel away our mask. Now, because I inked this one pretty well, you could throw it away. But once it's dry, you can reuse it. So it just really is up to you. And actually, the inside of that is kind of cute too. So I'm just going to put this on the side for now. So there's that one. This one is a little bit better thus far, only because so far my sentiment is not crooked. So let's see if we can line this one a little bit better. Let's try with You Are My Sunshine. See if I can do that one without goofing it up. Okay, now for this one, I actually am going to go with black, just so it really pops. And I'm actually going to get out my VersaFine because it gives really good detail. So I'm going to need to set this one on the side. This is the same. I'm just going to line this up so it's kind of straight. This is the same company that makes the Memento Ink. This is not something Stampin' Up carries, but it's also put out by the same company. So I get mine on Amazon. It is a pigment ink, so it's similar to Versamark, where it takes a little bit longer to dry. So same thing again. I'm going to see if I can line this up a little bit better. Okay. Oh, much better. So there you go. So I'm just going to set this on the side. If you look at it from the side, it's definitely still wet. So that one turned out immensely better thus far. So there's that one. Just wipe off my stamp. Okay, so let me actually wipe these off. I'm going to put these away really quickly because we're going to go to a different stamp set. And I'm going to show you something different that you can do. Hi, Glenda. Hope you're doing well. Enjoying the rainy season that is our spring so far. All right, I'm just going to put these sentiments back for now. All right, then we're going to do the Loyal Leaves. I'm going to keep these out just in case. Move this over. So for Loyal Leaves, I'm going to move this. You can also just do something that has masking with this on it. Okay, so let's stamp. What we'll do is we're going to pick out a few of these. One. I think this one needs a little bit bigger. Okay. And I'm going to use this. You Are My Hero. So you could do this in greens, which would be fabulous, but I'm going to do these actually in blues. So let me move this over, and I'm going to start with this, and I'm just going to pick a pattern. This might not be one that you would think to necessarily use, but I'm just going to go with this. So let me grab my stick, and this one's going to be different because we're not going to pre-mask something. We're just going to do masking, and then we're going to put the leaves on there as well. So for this one, I'm going to do something really light. Actually, I'm going to go with Seaside Spray, and I'll just use the blending brush for this one. So picking up a little bit of ink. And again, I'm trying to have a really light hand. Oops. Doesn't really have to have the whole thing covered, but at least so that it has some ink in the whole area. Okay. So we have some masked with this little pattern. I don't really know what you would call this. It's almost like a fleur-de-lis, but not really, I guess. So then we will do, let's see, Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight. I wonder what those three look like. Let's give that a shot instead of Balmy Blue. So I will do Misty Moonlight first. I'm going to do the smaller image. Again, I'm still kind of trying to stick to an outside-ish pattern. So I don't want anything hugely across the middle. That doesn't really make sense, but those three, and then I'll bring in the bigger, I don't even know what this image is, but we'll do this one for the peacock. And lastly, the navy will be the very large leaf. This one's just kind of filling in some spaces. Doesn't even necessarily have to be the whole thing. Okay. And I don't need this. All right, so same thing again. Now we'll just bring in our sentiment. I am going to use the same black ink. I know that this is black on blue, which might be a little bit unusual, but I just really wanted to stick out. And since this is a pigment ink, you could even add clear embossing powder to this, and you could heat emboss it if you wanted to add a little extra something to it. It will stay wet long enough to pick it up, or you could add black if you still have that. So again, we have a back layer of masking and then the leaves on top. That's a little bit different than what we did with this one. And then this one, we only masked the image before I should say, I'll take responsibility before I stamped that crooked sentiment on there. So that's another one. And let me just do really quickly, I'm just going to wipe this off and wipe these off. Take this. But it's kind of a fun way to be able to use stuff that you probably already have almost all of this, and maybe do something different with it, because you're spotlighting your stamps with this big white spacing. Or just adding a little bit something extra to your background with the masking, because a lot of times with the masking, sometimes it can be overwhelming. You don't want to, you want to add everything, or you forget you had masks. So let us do the Timeless Tropical. And I want to show you one other thing you can do instead as well. So here is this. Here's a piece. Now for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to actually die cut. I don't think we need a stitched because it's not going to matter. So let me just do an oval. And I want to do the biggest one that we have. So the nested layering ovals, or layer, whatever it is. This is the largest one. So I'm actually going to center this and die cut it. Just like so. So kind of just eyeballing to see if it looks straight. All right, so I'm going to just run this really quickly through my die cut machine. All right, now have that. You could save this piece for something else. Okay. And I'm going to take my, whoops, where is it? My other white piece. I'm going to put these two together. Oop, this one's a little bit smaller. I don't want that one. Okay. I'm going to put these together. So like just barely measuring incorrectly. Must have been sleepy when I cut these. I'm just going to tape these together for now. It's a little teeny hair over here, but we're not going to worry about that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to work with, I believe this is a plumeria. See that one, and hibiscus, and I'm guessing the leaf. We'll see if those look okay. All right, so I'm going to try to do this in layers if I can. Hopefully it will work out the way I want it to. And I'm going to put this here just so it kind of stays in the right place. I'm going to go with a light ink. So we'll do Pear Pizzazz. I don't want to go with soft seafoam. That's almost a little bit too light. And one more over here. All right. And for the plumeria, I believe that's what it is anyway. Let's go with, we'll use Magenta Madness. This is a little out of my color selection. I don't usually go with these crazy bright pinks. Okay. All right, and then finally we will do Calypso Coral for the hibiscus. I had a beautiful hibiscus the year before last. It was called a sunset. Man, it was so pretty. It had red, orange, yellow. It was so pretty. And I'll just do just a little bit of something over here. Should probably pick a teeny bit of a different, but I'm gonna do one other thing to this. So while this is still just a tiny bit damp, I'm gonna take my, where is it? My blender pen, make sure it's clean. And I'm just going to lightly spread just a little bit of the color, even if I'm kind of blending them together, just a little bit. Okay. Not so much the green, but just so it's a little bit more colorful. You can actually add in, even if you wanted to, a little teeny bit of yellow right here. I might do that. Okay. And let's see, a little Daffodil Delight. Bring right here. Just a teeny bit. Okay. I don't want to mess up too much. All right, so we have that. Now, before we're finished, I'm also going to take my mask and I'm going to grab some more tape here. And I'm going to tape this down and I'm going to go with, I'm trying to go with light. So I'm going to go with Sahara Sand and I have a sponge. Okay. So I'm going to try to be super, super light. I know I look like I'm dipping a lot, but I just want to make sure I have. Okay, and I'm going to just go very lightly. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, it's working. Okay, so there's that. Sahara Sand is a strange color to me still. And I probably could have gone with Crumb Cake and just used the lighter hand. So if you don't like this, keep that in mind and go with Crumb Cake. So I'm going to do one other thing though. And I probably may need to let this dry a little bit, but I'm going to try first. We'll see. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the other side of the sponge, which is slightly clean. And my Crumb Cake. All right, and what I'm going to do is, so you could see that I just lifted it up just a little bit. So I'm going to just slightly move it, just a teeny bit. Teeny, teeny bit. Not a whole lot, just a teeny. All right, Crumb Cake. Okay. All right, so there's that. And I just want to wipe off my fingers before I lift this up, because I feel like I could have a little catastrophe. Yeah, and gray granite. Yeah, gray granite. Gray granite is an odd color, and so is Sahara Sand. I wish we had like a lighter than Crumb Cake, but not with a green base. Okay, so here's the reveal, but remember, we're still going to do one more thing to this. So here's what this looks like. So you have your flowers and your dots. So again, if you don't really like the colors, so what I did is, this is the Sahara Sand, which is almost like a greenish tan, and then I went with the different, instead of rubbing, I pounced, so you can see more of the color of the sponge, and I'll give you a close-up once we get finished a little further. But before I finish this, what I want to do is, I want to actually stamp the greeting. And I don't know if I want to use Soft Suede or Early Espresso. I feel like I might go with Early Espresso. But I think it might need just a teeny bit of ink. Yeah. So let me just ink this just a little bit. Okay. I don't want it to be too inky. Okay. All right. And I'm going to add Rest and Relax. You deserve it. I think we all deserve a little relaxation from life this year. It's been crazy. All right. Just trying to make sure this is somewhat centered. All right, let me ink this and see what it looks like. Oh, I'm still crooked. Not very good at doing things straight. All right, I need to go down just a smidge. Okay, Not too bad. I'm just glad I didn't end up with a line around it. So I know right now you're like, whoo, that's a lot. And it does look like a lot, but bear with me. It'll clean up, I promise. Okay, I'm gonna move this over because I feel like these are probably dry. All right, so I'm gonna take this off and we'll see what it looks like. I'm just trying to give this a second for that espresso to dry. So just in case maybe you don't have a mask, then you could kind of use this as your mask, right? So now you've masked that. You have your little image there in the center. Might be a lot going on for you. If you don't like it, you could tone it down some, take some of the stuff out, maybe remove the leaves, not go with the Sahara sand. So yours isn't green, but anyway, still cute. So all I'm going to do for these now, I feel like some of these are a teeny bit bigger than the other ones. So I'm going to, let me just check this. And we're just going to mount these. And, okay, so that's good. Feels like it's a little bigger, but it's not. That's crazy. Nope. Okay, so here we're going to just mount these. And we're just going to pick some coordinating colors. So we will go with, I'm going to put this one onto espresso. And so we'll put that here for that one. There's that extra piece. We're going to go with navy for this one. I want a dark piece in the background just because it'll kind of help the colors to pop. And then you could put this one to whatever you want it to. What did I use for that? Coastal Cabana. We'll use for this one. And this one we used, oh, that crooked one. Lord help me. Maybe we can save that one with some just jade. Yeah. I'm going to go with melon mambo. Okay. So essentially, I'm just going to do a quick mount on these. I'm not going to put them into the background card, but at least to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what they look like. So this one was for what is that one? 4. We'll do 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That'll be for 1. This one must be just a teeny bit off. Maybe this one was not lined up correctly. I'll take just a hair off. Nope, that looks good. So there's that one. That one will be mounted there. This one we said 4 1/4. Got 3/8. 4 1/8. Oops, this one's too narrow. I'm gonna have to trim this down a smidge. Just take a little bit off. Okay. This one, 4. Rainbow Stamper's singing his little heart out back there as usual. That child, he wakes up talking, he falls asleep talking. Love him. There's that. And last but not least, let's see, hopefully this is big enough. Nope, 5 3/8 by 4. And I don't have a huge border on these. It's just 1/8 of an inch, so that is pretty slim. But it's enough that it gives you a little color contrast here. I am going to send this one to my niece. She'll appreciate it. I'll tell her I made this one special for her on the Slightly Sideways show. Thank you all for the shares. I appreciate that. For the comments, for the shares. So then what you could do is just mount this onto, you could go with a darker base. So you could do basic gray if you wanted to. Or you could put it onto white or a different coordinating color. But since it's kind of bright and then you have that bright layer to it, I would suggest something a little toned down. You could even do this one onto black would be really pretty. It would really make that pop. This one would be really nice mounted onto crumb cake. believe it or not, which sounds a little crazy because of the navy and the black, but that's a pretty complementary color to that. So that looks really nice. And then we have our central masking. So this is a good technique that you can do a lot of fun stuff with if you're trying to find maybe something new to do with your card. And really it is just to whatever your imagination limitation is. So this one I'll probably put onto Coral, Calypso Coral. I think I'm going to definitely put this one onto Crumb Cake, Black. I don't know about this one. Maybe I'll do Basic Gray. Basic Gray might not be so bad if you look at that together. Kind of make a play off of the color. You know, that one actually may end up being better looking on black as well. I'll do both of those on black. That way I'll have one. Oh, look at that. I have two right there. Piece of cardstock. Do usually have a lot of crumb cake base cut. What was the other one? I said Coral. And thank you all so much for the kind words. I know we did a bunch of a little bit more serious of a topic last week with all of our sympathy cards that we did. So this is a good break from that, kind of going to the other end of the spectrum. I will be working on some Easter cards soon. You know, there's lots of really pretty sets in the catalog that I haven't gotten to yet. I have plenty of them, that's for sure. So that one and that one. Okay. So I'm just going to mount these up and we will wrap this up. Let me just hit these real quick with my, oops, wrong side. That didn't score much anything. Bone folder. All right. Obviously, you're going to need some matting for your black cards so you can actually write on the inside of those. And again, it is going to have a pretty slim border, but it's nice, I think, because it doesn't take too much from your card that way. So it's pretty. And then we had Crumb Cake. Trying to make sure I'm making my cards to the right-handed side. Although I did send out my left-handed card to whoever that first person was. That said, oh goodness, that wasn't supposed to go on there. That was supposed to go on here. Silly. That's why I like the liquid glue though. Put a little extra right there. And if these slim borders bother you, you could definitely trim this down a little bit smaller. So don't feel like you have to do what I do. That was for our navy. And this one was a weird size because the card was just slightly off of what I originally did. But it looks really nice. The navy and the black and the tan. They look very good together. They really complement each other. And finally, we have our sunshine. I think this one is my favorite. I love the colors. It's very pretty. And it looks really nice against black. It's a nice thing about when you have really bright colors and you back them against a black background, it really makes everything pop. So pretty. Move all these out of the way. So you could also still, if you wanted to save this, because you could just wrap this onto another card if you wanted to. Again, you could have done the sponging with the mask first if you wanted that to be back farther. It just kind of depends on, oops, and that was this way. It just depends on what it is that you want to do, but you could still save this to use this over again. So lots of fun with some masking of different kinds, and also with masking paper, which again, I will put the link to that onto the blog post once I publish this, which won't be this evening. I'll try and get it done tomorrow evening. But hopefully you guys like these cards today. I think they were very fun to make. Something definitely to use up some of the stuff that maybe you have laying around and you haven't used in a while, or you can't remember why you bought what it was you were going to use it with. But masking paper is really fun. And also, if you're trying to be a little bit more economical, you could certainly go the route of a Post-it note. However, with these masks, what I'll do is, so these are the sticky parts. What I'll do is I will just put these into my So Sentimental package here. Now, granted, I have my dies here, so you can see I use the second and third largest stitched scallop rectangles. But what you can do is you can just take your case and you can stick these on the back, and then, oh, where'd the other one? The other one ran away. And then if you want to do the same thing again, you just peel them off of the back, and then you could use them over. You could certainly die cut new ones with the paper, because it's definitely, you get a lot of use out of it, but you could certainly use it over again. This is also a great paper if you wanted to use to mask a flower. So for example, if you wanted to go to, and actually you could die cut your, oh my God, hydrangea, that's not what I say, hibiscus. You could die cut that and put a mask there. So if you covered this over, then your masking would be behind it, so it gets different levels to it, which that's also really fun to do as well. So I'll have to do another video on that, highlighting, because this does have dies that go along with it. So just in case you're missing what it is I'm saying here, if you were to die cut this with the masking paper, and then you line it up, which is right about there, so you could just line up you put this down. You could do your masking. You could stamp your images. You could put your other die cut that you did on top of it, and then it would look like your dots are actually behind your flower. So you can do masking layer on layer on layer. That's another way to do it too, because it gives a lot of depth and dimension to what you're doing. So lots of different ways that you can use it. It just really all depends on how much time you want to put into it and how much you want to do with the die cutting. But like I said, with having the dies as opposed to having to fussy cut the hibiscus, it does make it much easier. So there's definitely lots of other things that you could do with it. So again, I thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you learned something new today, or maybe figured out something you can do with stuff that you already have at your house. Again, I won't be live on Saturday because I have another commitment at that time that I won't be able to, unfortunately, be live this Saturday. But if I have time, I will try to pop one sometime on Sunday. If not, I will definitely see you next Thursday, possibly even next Tuesday, same time as well. So stay tuned to my channel here on Facebook. That's usually where I try to post if I know I'm going to go live ahead of time. If not, make sure your notifications are on. But if you're watching this on the YouTube replay, if you have your bell notifications turned on, it will send you a notification every time I go live or post a new video. So YouTube is really great about that, being able to find out what's going on when it's actually happening. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon. I hope you have a wonderful week.